On this week's episode of Don't Flash the Camera. I've had a Switch for close to 2 months now, and one of my favorite games is something I bought on day one. Would you believe it's an early 90s Amiga game? Well, buckle up, because this thing's getting its own episode. Degeneration. Developed by Veda Hlubinka-Cook, developed on the Apple IIe, first released on DOS in 1991, and best known on the Amiga, nailed it, is a brilliant example of early 90s PC cyberpunk. An HD port was eventually released on the Switch, Xbone, and PS4, and that went over pretty poorly. Fortunately, someone relented a little while later and released the original version to much better reviews. That Switch port of the original version is what I'm going to run my mouth about tonight. From the first moment, the game kind of reminds you of how Perfect Dark begins, but this is nothing like that. It also seems similar to Solstice and the Immortal, but truth be told, it has more in common with Escape from the Planet of the Robot Monsters, which is weird, because this was in development a year before that came out. You're a courier arriving at Jinak Biolabs in Singapore, having flown there urgently from Paris with just a jetpack. Why the long haul? Because the package you're delivering is just that important, and something's going down in the research wing. Trouble awaits. Basic gameplay is finding the switches to exit the room you're in, not getting killed, and busting out hostages if you can. The end goal is the elevator to the next floor, of which there are 10 altogether. Enemies come in 5 common varieties. The tracker is the pool noodle that probably zapped you in the lobby. The A generation is the bonkers ball thing. The B generation is the blue tubular refugee from Marble Madness that tries to smash you. And the C generation are human clones. A good way to judge whether or not someone's for real is if weapons make them flinch. The titular D generation is something I'll leave a mystery. Enemies can be zapped, blown up with grenades or bombs, locked harmlessly behind doors, or if you walk over the square vents, they'll be unable to spawn. At first, it's a little tough to figure out what to use your items and weapons for, because you're sort of afraid of using them up. Your laser banks off surfaces, so you'll use that technique to hit some switches or even pass shots through teleporters. Upon securing a room, then it's time to free the hostages, provided you didn't shoot them or lure them into danger. Once you manage to drag a still living hostage to the red arrow in the room, you gain an extra life. Considering it's easy to rack up lives, you can assume you'll be dying a lot. If I didn't know better, I would have assumed Veda was British, given the overall difficulty and isometric perspective. Most contemporary mentions of the game are overwhelmingly positive, usually advising people to look past the simplistic graphics and give it a shot. I'd totally agree, except I like the graphics just the way they are. The overall aesthetic of Degeneration is really pleasant, spritey but not overly simple, well animated but uncluttered. The controls seem a little jankier than they are, but that's because the character sprite kind of judders a little. However, I found the movements I meant to make and the shots I needed to aim were just fine once my hands spoke this game's language. I highly recommend retrieving a PDF of the original Amiga manual before playing, since you're just kind of dropped into the deep end once you leave the Switch's main screen. I've dropped the link to the manual below. It does feel fairly short. I was really surprised when I stumbled into the final scenes. I could have played this forever. However, there's a timed event near the end that kind of sucks the strategy out of everything and makes whether you live or die more of a crapshoot. Having developed an addiction to Mario's Super Picross around the same time, I was pretty well equipped to make the meticulous moves this game required, when I wasn't blowing shit up anyway. But having to throw that out the window and start rushing was kinda sad. I could have included footage of the near ending here, but it's weird enough that I don't want to spoil anything. Is Degeneration worth the $15 it costs on Switch? To me, yeah. I would say it's fucking necessary. But for pretty much everyone else, I would say wait for it to go on sale and then absolutely buy it. It looks like it drops to around $7 to $8 once a year. I've been using SwitchGames.io as a sale tracker, so I didn't have to pay full price for Doom 2016 or Doom Eternal, and thank God I didn't pay full price for Doom Eternal. It's a pretty good resource for things like that. Anyway, Degeneration gets 4 stars. Wendy Bob says check it out. Aside from this game, Veda Cook is primarily known for being a model during the development of the animation for Prince of Persia, as well as a Rube Goldberg kind of game called Gumball, released in 1983 for the Apple II, Commodore 64, the PC-88, and I feel like there's another one I'm forgetting. There was an Easter egg in that game that people didn't find until like 4 or 5 years ago. That's fucking wild. I think it was someone trying to preserve it on the Internet Archive, which is probably the easiest way to do that or play it right now, because I doubt you'll find that on eBay. However, the stuff Veda is doing these days is pretty huge. She was one of the 3 co-founders of MetaWeb, who in March 2007 launched Freebase, a nodular database of the world's knowledge that categorized the data in a more semantic way. They must have been doing something right, because 3 years later they were bought by Google. She's currently working at Factful, a platform devoted to investigative journalism and exposing corruption with grounded, verifiable data, which has got to be some heavy shit nowadays. So with this episode, I'm back from my stupid hiatus, and you'll be putting up with me more frequently once again. I think you're going to see videos with more meat on their bones from here on out. So if you're into it, subscribe to the channel, or if you already have, hector your friends into doing it. I'll see you soon. I feel like I want to give a shout out to Dan Kwiatkowski, because this projector I've been using for absolutely everything, I've gotten a lot of mileage out of it. He found it in a dumpster, and I asked if maybe I could have it, and I feel like he was too, he didn't want to say no, but he gave it to me, and I feel like I owe you like a million drinks if you're watching this, or if you don't drink anymore, like next year's Letterboxd membership or something. Thanks. I've watched a lot of trailers on this projector. I couldn't even remember the word projector. And there was the one time me and Lana and Claire watched Thoroughbreds, which is a fucking wild ass movie. I should probably rewatch that.